Hello, my name is Christoph. I'm research and education expert at Mitra, and in today's info session, I'm going to talk a little bit about the question how to choose the right study program, the right university if you're intending to go for higher education to Germany. So first of all, what you have to understand is a distinction we already talked about in a previous video, the distinction between public and private institutions. So at public institutions, public universities, education is considered to be a higher good, and the German state subsidizes education as a higher good, so you don't pay tuition fees or only little tuition fees to gain knowledge and to get the education that you need in general in life. So at these institutions, education is not a service. That doesn't mean these institutions don't help you to go through your studies to successfully get into the job market. They don't train you for the job market, but it's more about providing the infrastructure that you need to gain the general education, general higher education. At private institutions, the situation is different. Their education is a service. That means you pay for what you get. And that can be quite a high amount of money depending on the institution. At these private institutions, they focus on your success in your studies as well as in your professional life afterwards. So they want you to be able to get a good job, to a highly paid job with which you can pay back the debts you might have gathered during your studies. So the subjects that you study at these institutions are often focused on business or on some technical studies that are very industry relevant and with which you can get the qualification you need for a specific type of job later on. Regarding the quality of these two institutions, I would say they're equal. Public institutions provide a very good education, as do private institutions. The difference is that you might not be able to afford the tuition fees at a private institution, or you might even say, like, I want to have general education. I believe in the idea of education as a general good. And I like the idea that this is subsidized in Germany. So it also depends on what type of student you are and how much support and services you need to feel comfortable in Germany. Another very important distinction we already talked about is the distinction between technical universities, in general, then universities of applied sciences, and then colleges of art and music. What kind of studies can you go for at technical universities? So these are full universities. That means you get a large variety of different subjects, from natural sciences, engineering, to arts and humanities, and so on, medicine. These are all the subjects you can study at technical universities and universities. These are often big institutions with a lot of students, a lot of professors. You might attend lectures with a few hundred people sitting in there. You interact with your fellow students more than with your professors. At these institutions, you get the basic research education and scientific education that you need, for example, to go for a research career as well. So the lecturers in these universities they have a scientific research background themselves, so they do research and at the same time they teach. They focus on theoretical aspects of a certain field, methodology, how to work on different theories. What is less their focus is guidance regarding their career and where to find a good job outside of university later on. So you have to be a little bit more proactive regarding that. If you want to go for a PhD or for a research career yourself, then this is the right institution for you, because they are allowed to award PhD in comparison to all the other institutions, and they prepare you already in your thesis and the research papers you write. This will all be in the style which will be very important for the PhD and your ongoing research later on. In comparison to that, universities of applied sciences, as the name already says, are more oriented towards praxis. They really want to educate you and train you for the job market and for interacting with the industry and for transferring knowledge into the industry or industry relevant products. So the subjects you can study there are more focused on your professional life. They're more focused on industry relevance, for example, from engineering, design, maybe also some management studies and so on, but with a focus on the industry. In your curriculum, you might have included mandatory internships where you go to a company. You might have to do some research at a company to do to write your final thesis. So you work together with companies there already. And the lecturers that will teach you, they are often practitioners. They come from the industry and teach you with the knowledge that they got from their daily work, so to say. So during your studies here, you gain more work experience, more experience about how the job market works, how the industry works, and the subjects will be highly industry relevant, as said before. These institutions are often a bit smaller. Your interaction with the professors is much more there than, for example, with the big universities. But what you don't get there at universities of applied sciences is this research education that you need to, for example, become a professor later on. They don't award PhDs, so you can only go for a bachelor's or master's degree there. So the universities of applied sciences are really focused on your job and the industry later on. If you realize that after studying at a university of applied sciences that you still want to go for a research career, you can still do that. Of course, you would have to transfer to a full university to go for a PhD, and you might even have to do some additional coursework to be allowed into a PhD program at a full university, but it's definitely possible. So it's not that you are not allowed anymore if you have a master's degree from a University of Applied Sciences. The colleges of art and music are kind of special in the sense of that they are often very small institutions. They focus on visual arts, creative arts, performing arts, and music. They don't teach you from scratch, but they mostly develop skills that you already have further. That means if you already play an instrument, if you are already fantastic in graphic design, if you are in theater, if you perform really well, then they offer you programs where you can interact with artists, with professors who are experts in their field. But for that, you have to pass an entrance exam where they will check, not theoretically, but really practically check what you're able to do. So are you really well playing the instrument you claim to be playing, and so on. And only after that, you will be admitted to the College of Art and Music, and there get further training. So this is a little bit different to the other universities. But of course, this is also probably interesting for a smaller group of people who apply for these special programs. This is the overview. Again, colleges of art and music, universities of applied sciences, and technical universities. If you have decided, okay, this might be the right type of university for me, then still there's the question, okay, now how do I find the right programs? This can be really confusing. There's a lot on offer. I think it is a difficult question, but I will try to give you some guidance and some information that might help you. So first of all, what you have to decide is, do I want to go for a bachelor's degree or a master's degree? Bachelor's degrees in Germany are difficult in the sense that these are still mostly taught in German language, which means they're offered for Germans, and you as an international might join them or not if you're able to follow in the program and in the lectures. So your level of German has to be C1, C2. To be able to study these programs. Of course, there are more and more international programs as well, but it's still rather less in comparison to the amount of international programs that you have in master studies nowadays. Another problem of bachelor studies in Germany is that your school leaving certificate might not be recognized as university entrance qualification from certain non-European countries. So you will have to be careful and check if your degree is really recognized. Otherwise, you will have to do a preparatory course in Germany for a year that doesn't even guarantee you a seat in the programs, but just gives you the qualification you need to be able to apply. So there is a lot of risk if you're, and a lot of time and money you will have to invest if your school leaving certificate is not recognized. You can check that on a database called Anabin, mentioned below, or you directly contact the university to find out what their specific regulations are. Regarding master studies, it's definitely easier there. In the last few years, even 10, 15 years, more and more international programs have been developed for master studies. So they aim at international students. They want you to study in Germany. They're in English language as a teaching language. They still ask you for some level of German ranging from A1 to B2. Mostly for administrative reasons, maybe because there are certain courses taught in German, and of course also because it will be easier. Your student life on and off campus, finding a job and so on will be easier if you speak some German already. But that's not the major requirement, so there are many options in English language. And another advantage is that your international bachelor's degree will be mostly recognized, and it's not so difficult in comparison to, for example, your school leaving certificate. So these are the two options where I think master studies is probably for many people the easier option if you do your bachelor's degree in your home country and then think about a master's degree abroad, for example, in Germany. There are several links that help you to choose from study programs in Germany. For example, one very general overview is a website called Studienwahl. Originally, that was a printed publication in German language that mentioned all the study programs at private and public institutions in Germany for the German students to understand what their options are. Nowadays, you have that online, fortunately, and also in English. So it gives you an overview of what options are out there, including all the options in German language. So if you say like, okay, I don't want to study in German language and I need to narrow down my options, then the much better database for you would be the International Programs Database. You can Google it, you will find it immediately. There, most of the international programs at public institutions will be mentioned, from bachelor's, master's to PhD programs to summer schools, short-term courses, and so on, specialized programs. But the major requirement to be in this database is that your degree is international, so it aims at international students. So degrees that are only for Germans will not even be mentioned in this database. So this could be helpful for you to identify which are interesting universities for me, which are interesting programs for me, and then in the second step, decide about the content of the course, of course, which you want to study so that you make sure that you really get what you need and what you want for your further qualification. I hope I could help you a little bit with this decision-making process. If you have any questions or any feedback, leave us a comment. You can follow us on our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn channels. We are happy to be in touch with you, and I really hope you tune in for our next info session coming up very soon. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a good day. Bye.